the fertility journey is very consuming and it causes a lot of stress. It causes stress on yourself, on your relationships, on family, on friends, all the things, your work. So when we can manage our thoughts, it's going to calm our nervous system and make everything else better. Trying to conceive isn't just a physical journey. It's one of the most mentally and emotionally demanding experiences a couple can go through. And it's time we start talking about all of it. Hi, I'm Denise Erez, your fertility godmother, and this show is for the woman who wants to optimize their health, who is trying to conceive and wants real, honest support, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, without the overwhelm. Because this journey isn't just about getting pregnant. It's about who you become through it. And you don't have to navigate it alone. So take a deep breath. You're in the right place. Let's do this together. And welcome to the Fertility Godmother Show. I want to do a quick recap. So far, we've talked about the air we breathe, the water we drink, the foods we eat, and today we're going to go into the thoughts that we think. So today is going to be super fun. I'm really excited about sharing it with you. It's going to be interactive, so I hope you're in a place that you can be interactive because we're going to do something that will help you shift your thoughts. Pretty cool. So before we go into that, we talked about the foods you eat. So really, foods that drain you. We talked about sugar and processed foods, fried foods, trans fats, all these things that make our body work really hard, that cause inflammation. And then when our body's doing that, it can't focus on doing what it's supposed to be doing to help us move forward, right? To help balance our hormones, to help create the uterus, the egg quality, all those things that help us feel good with energy because it has to heal ourselves all the time. In fact, last night I was at a conference about breast cancer and the doctor made me really mad. I know what he was trying to say, but he was talking about breast cancer and he said, well, it's a fallacy to think that sugar is going to, you know, increase your risk of getting cancer or your survival, your prognosis. And true, sugar doesn't exactly feed cancer. But the thing is, it's overlooking the whole point. Like if our body, not that you can't ever have some sugar, but the whole point is if our body has the fuel, the nutrients that it needs, then of course it's going to heal better than if you're trying to decrease that inflammation and balance that out. So anyways, okay, side note, I digress. I'll come back. Why I say that is it's really important. So you'll be seeing so many things. And the thing is kind of going into what we're going to be talking about today is we do what we're used to doing. Like it's a pattern that we know, right? We don't always do things because we think it's better or we do it because it's what we're used to doing. And so sometimes making a change is uncomfortable. And when you're used to eating fast food or you're doing these convenient things, the processed foods, then that makes harder on your body, but we're just used to it. So it's just that initial shift, that uncomfortableness. I always say, let's get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We have to get through that so that we can move on to that next level. So we talked about the foods on your plate that we really want to focus on, or like having that 75% chance of like water foods, a lot of vegetables, not 75% chance, but 75% of the vegetables that we want to have on our plate, right? So we really want to have a lot of vegetables. That being said, especially in your reproductive years, well, even in your menopausal years, but even especially in your reproductive years, we want to have a lot of protein, high quality protein. And during the reproductive years, we really want to focus on both combining animal protein and vegetable protein. So I hope that's helpful for the questions of, should I be vegetarian or should I be carnivore? We really need all of it. We need both. So it's really important that we focus on a lot of vegetables. So just to give you an idea, 75% of your plate, 50% minimum should be vegetables with all your meals. And that way we're getting that minimum requirement, which is 8 to 10 servings of vegetables a day. And most of us eat 2 or 3 servings of vegetables on a good day. So it's kind of making that shift that's gonna be really important for you. We also talked about making sure that we slow down when we were eating, like to actually chew our food. I still have to be really mindful of this myself because you get in that rhythm, you're going, you want to get things done. We don't take the time to eat. But the problem with that is then we're not going to be able to really digest the food, break down the nutrients, and help them get to where they need. So we want to chew somewhere between 20 to 40 times, depending on what you're actually eating. Okay. So focusing on the proteins because they're going to help build the muscle, which help us with energy. Fiber is going to be really important because they help pull out toxins and balance extra estrogen, the unhealthy estrogen, and also help with microbiome, like the gut bacteria. And then we want to focus on having healthy fats. Healthy fats are really important in stabilizing your hormones. So I love things like avocado are so important. Fish oil, fish, those healthy types of high quality fats, olive oil, those types of things. Okay, so now let's go ahead and shift gears into the thoughts we think. So, what is a thought? Thoughts are the many mixtures of our constant words and pictures. So if I say, think of an apple, you're going to have that picture of an apple. And so, why is that important? Because our thoughts are going to really create what we have and or what we feel, right? If you think something happy, you feel happy inside, right? If you think something in fear, then you're going to be producing all those chemicals that cause your heart to race and the blood could constrict and your sympathetic nervous system to fire, cortisol to increase, and then it creates that feeling. And so our thoughts create what we feel. And then what we feel creates what we do. And then what we do creates what we have. So we want to create that environment that increases the energy because energy, ATP, is going to impact your egg quality, your sperm quality, your overall health, your vitality, all the things. Okay. If you're doing something and you're wondering why, it's because of a thought that you thought. It's the thoughts that we think. So one more time with me. As I think, so I feel. As I feel, so I do. As I do, so I have. Right? So that's just basically saying how powerful our thoughts are. And so this is the thing, we get to choose our thoughts, right? We get to choose them every day. And so when you're starting to become more aware of the things that you're doing or how you're feeling, then you start to become aware of the thoughts that we're thinking. Now, here's the thing, you may not be completely aware of their thoughts because people say 95 to 98% of what's going on in our bodies is actually coming from the unconscious mind. So that means only 3 to 5% is our conscious mind that we're thinking about what we're going to have for dinner tonight and where we're going to go and those types of things that are conscious. The rest are those unconscious thoughts. And so how that thinks, how that affects us comes from our beliefs, right? So what is a belief? A belief is something that we are absolutely certain is true. So for example, I believe that if I'm driving on the freeway, that all the cars that come in the other direction are going to stay in their lane, right? Or I believe if I'm walking down the street that gravity's going to support me and I'm not going to go flying off into space. Just some, fun things. But right, we have these beliefs and the beliefs come from different things and different times in our life when we made a decision. So our belief is going to dictate, or they're going to have an effect on our thoughts. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to write down some beliefs that serve you. So that could be, I believe that I have a lot of energy and I believe that I'm healthy. So I live a life that I want to make healthy choices. I have this belief that I'm going to still be, running marathons when I'm 80 years old. I want to be one of those women, so I live my life like that because that's my belief. So go ahead and write down the beliefs that serve you. And if you're done with that, you can go ahead and I want you to write down some beliefs that don't serve you anymore. Maybe it's I don't have enough time. That could be a big one. I just worked on that one. I'll tell you about that later. Maybe it's my body is failing me. Maybe it's I don't deserve this. I'm not enough. What are some of the beliefs that you're feeling or that you have that are not resourceful for you? So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to look at your list of the things that are resourceful for you, the beliefs that are serving you right now, that are continuing to serve you. I'm assuming that they're continuing to serve you. Sometimes we create a belief that we think is serving us, but it stops serving us at a point. But look at the ones that are serving you. I want you just to read them out loud, take a deep breath in, and smile. And now I want you to take a look at the list of the beliefs that are unresourceful for you, the ones that are stopping you or hindering you from feeling good or from getting what you want. And I want you to circle the one that is the biggest one that you would love to get rid of right now, today. Okay. So, as I said, the things that we're going to do, they're going to be a little bit silly. So I'm taking on the role of your coach right now. So we're going to do something. It's going to be silly. It's going to be fun, but I promise you it's powerful. And this is not something that I just made up. This is neuroscience, and it's something that has helped literally millions of people because I learned this from my mentor, Joseph McClendon III. And he helps millions of people and all over the world. And again, if we want to do something different, we're going to have to do something different. So, what I'm teaching you right now is what's called the stop technique. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through it, but the S stands for, we actually are going to say the word stop. You might want to write this down. T is you're going to take a deep breath in and smile. Okay. O is you're going to replace what you want. And then the P is we're going to praise ourselves. Okay. So before we go ahead and do the stop technique, you circle the thing that you want to get rid of. Now I want you to think about maybe another belief or the antithesis, the opposite of that one. What would you want instead? So go ahead and take a minute to just put down what you want instead, because that's what we're going to replace it with. And again, everything that I'm doing here with you has a meaning and a purpose. And so I really appreciate that you're trusting me here. All right. So now you have what you want to replace it with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the stop technique. Okay. And just before I continue to share with you how we're going to do this, I want you to know that this technique is not something that you do in the moment where you're having that fear or that anxiety or, you're feeling like you're running out of time. You don't do it, you can do it during that moment, but what what I find that people forget is this is actually a conditioning, just like lifting weights, right? We don't just lift the dumbbell up and do it one set of 10 and then expect to have a nice bicep. So we are conditioning by doing the stop technique. We are conditioning our mind, our brain, our nervous system to reprogram itself to think the way we want. So it's a conditioning. And okay, so I just want you to know that this is not a one and done. You're going to feel amazing after you do this one, but this is something that I'm going to want you to continually do. So how this stop technique, how we're going to do it today is I'm going to take you through how we're going to do it. And then I'm going to use the word unresourceful for that belief that you want to get rid of. And what's going to happen is, no, don't do it now. But when I say unresourceful, I want you to actually feel that feeling when you think that belief, when you think that thought, like actually feel it in your body. You're going to and exaggerate it. I'm not going to keep you there for long, but I do want you to feel bad and, really get into it. Put your face down, hunch over, like really head down. Really feel it, not for long and not yet. Then what we're going to do, so I'm going to say unresourceful, unresourceful. I'll say that a few times, and then we're going to yell, stop. You yell stop too. I'm just walking it through you. So I'm going to say stop. You'll say stop. Okay. And if you're in a place where you can't yell or talk loud, then you can just go stop. Okay, like you're yelling, but without the voice, because I know sometimes we're in areas that are public and we really can't do that right now. And I've done this many times in the bathroom before I was doing something that I needed to do this on. So, all right. So if you're in that situation, you're just going to yell, but like you're doing it. Okay. All right. So we're going to do unresourceful, unresourceful. I'm going to say stop. 1, 2, 3. We're going to stand up, shake your body out, take a deep breath in and smile. and you're going to point to your heart and say, I am amazing. Squeeze your fist, say yes. Pat yourself on the back and sit back down. So let me tell you again, it's going to be unresourceful, unresourceful. Stop. 1, 2, 3. Stand up. Shake your body out. Take a deep breath and smile. I am amazing. Squeeze your fist and say yes. Pat yourself on the back and sit back down. Okay, you got it? Let me just show you one more time. I'm going to be unresourceful. Really feel it. Unresourceful. Stop. 1, 2, 3. Stand up. Shake your body out. Take a deep breath. Smile. I am amazing. Yes. Pat yourself on the back and sit back down. Okay? If you did it, I know you're feeling good because what we just did is we interrupted a pattern. And so what this does is we get present to that belief, that thought, right? Which is just a pattern, right? And then we're going to break that pattern, put in what we want, and then we get to celebrate. So why is all this important? So if you've ever been in a situation where maybe you're like, I don't know, watching a show and you're relaxed on the couch and you get an idea and you say, oh, I'm going to write that down. So you go to the kitchen and you get to the kitchen and you're like, what just happened? Why am I here? Do you ever think like that? Does that ever happen to you? Because it happens to me. It's a lot of us will think, oh, what's wrong with my memory? I can't remember anything. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? We drive ourselves crazy. But all it was really was interrupting the pattern, right? You were in a pattern of thought. You were in a sitting position. You stopped, you jumped, you stood up. So your physiology changed, right? So ways to interrupt the pattern would be like to change your physiology, to change our focus, and to change the words that we speak. So those are some things that interrupt the pattern. So this exercise is just really simple. It takes less than 2 minutes and we're doing all the things. So what happens when we break that pattern, like when we stand up, right? We change our positioning, our physiology. We create what's called a scotoma. A scotoma is a vacuum. This is what's happening in our brain. And a vacuum, we all know, needs to be filled, right? Filled with something. And so that's our opportunity to put in what we want instead. And so it's really important that we take advantage of that. So what happens normally is when we're trying to, we'll interrupt a pattern, but we don't put anything else in replace of the pattern. So we'll continue doing the same pattern over and over again, even if we interrupted it. And those patterns, the longer they've been there, I'm going to say like the thicker those neurons are. And so what's interesting is in order to break habits, right, there is a study done that it would take you in order to break a habit, it would take 400 times for you to repeat that habit that you wanted to change in order for those neurons to create a pattern. But what's interesting is when we add fun, which our fun would be the smiling and the praising ourselves, right? That's what our celebration. It only takes 8. Okay, so I want you to just hear that. So that's why we're going further faster. So the praising is really, really important. So as you're putting in that thought, first you're breaking the pattern, then you're putting in your new thought, and then it's really important to celebrate yourself. Okay, does that make sense? So I hope that that's really helpful because once we change our psychology, which is psychology just means how we think about ourselves, how we think about other people, and how we think about the world around us, right? Once we change our psychology, our thoughts, then everything can change. So I was saying that I had like not enough time. So I've been doing the stop technique on not enough time because I caught myself, right? So when I catch myself, I go, oh, isn't that interesting? I don't beat myself up. Right? Because when we beat ourselves up, what happens? Right? It just slows things down. It doesn't feel good, right? We want to elevate ourselves. So, and I'm not saying we have to always feel good, always feel positive, but we want to feel good, right? We want to feel good more than we feel bad. And we want to default to our best behaviors. And so this is an opportunity for you to do this stop technique. And what I invite you to do is for the next week to do this stop technique twice a day without fail, right? Have some discipline, which means do the prescribed action, even and especially when you don't want to. 'Cause I know it feels silly, it's awkward, and you might have some resistance because there's gonna be a change, right? So, I wanna really invite you and encourage you to work through that resistance because I know it's on the other side for you. And you could feel it right now, how just how it changed and how good you feel. And so what we wanna do is those old patterns, they've been there for a long time, they're really thick. So, it's gonna take some time to replace them so that eventually they're gonna be gone or very minimal. Does that make sense? So that's how powerful your thoughts are. And sometimes you may not be aware of the thought because that might be an unconscious program, but you're going to feel the feeling, right? And if you're ever questioning, why do I do that? Like maybe we all know how to lose weight, for example, but we may not always do the things that we know. So this will be the reason is there's a thought going on. So you can get that feeling, you can attack the feeling. So you have this tool forever. I use it when I work with my one-on-one clients. And then of course we dive deeper and hit all those other belief patterns that are making them feel bad. And this is so important when your fertility journey, because the fertility journey, you know better than anybody, is very consuming and it causes a lot of stress. Causes stress on yourself, on your relationships, on family, on friends, all the things, your work. So when we can manage our thoughts, it's going to calm our nervous system and make everything else better. All right. So I hope you enjoyed today. Until next time, I'll see you later. Thank you so much.